everybody, it's Chris here from Serene Education with the 4 majors notes update for the 12th of April 2013. Hi guys, got over the 4 majors this morning, end of week. Let's see what's been happening for the week. Let's have a look at the weekly candle just to gauge and see where all that sentiment's been this week. And you can see quite clearly here on the weekly chart, very much to the upside favor for the euro against US dollar. However, testing a near-term February retracement area here in the shape of the 13,1500 mark. This is the pullback, getting below that 1300 just recently. However, last week's candle bullish engulfing, however, not breaking above the 1300 though, but almost a tweezer bottom at a price support and resistance level here at the 1275. And price this week has pretty much been able to get above that 1300. The more it spends above 1300, the more likely we're going to start seeing buying sentiment or positive sentiment. And if that's the case, then for next week in particular, if we can get above the 1500 mark, then we should be targeting back up towards those highs that we saw recently, that we saw at the end of January, February, start of February, up towards the 13,500, 13,500 mark. So on our daily, there we go, you can quite clearly see a lot of strange sentiment, but nonetheless, oh, that's it, daily, there we go. Apologies guys, had on the wrong chart there. So here on the daily, you can quite clearly see all that buying sentiment coming through from 1275, and since then price has been moving higher, and doing so has broken above a major support and resistance level in the shape of the 1300. Got to make sure that's on the chart. That's a major support and resistance level. So as I mentioned, 1500, a major support and resistance level, quite close, a lot of resistance previously, and we have the 50 period moving average, which is acting as a resistance as well. So we have two parts of resistance for this particular pair on the bounce. As long as it maintains above the 1300, then we should be looking for positiveness. We are seeing consolidative at the moment, so we don't want to be trading consolidation, we want to be trading upside. So wait for a nice break and close above 1500. The longer it goes sideways, if we see a break and close lower than this consolidation intraday here at over the past couple of days, you can see prices pretty much the actual bodies are pretty much spot on with each other. Look for a close lower than that, i.e. below the 1305, to see a potential trade, aggressive trade back towards the 1300 near term. So intraday, like to see price getting above that 1500. You can quite clearly see that price is actually failing to do so. We're seeing a lot of consolidation here near term, seeing upside. However, you can see the candles now very indecisive, not really making any higher highs. And recently on the 4 hour, you can see the last 20 hours or so pretty much going sideways, not breaking the current highs, which are up here roughly around the 1500 mark. So on our hourly, what I'm getting is that the RSI is looking lower. See the RSI, as we've been heading higher, the RSI is starting to lessen. However, it's still above the 50% line, which is important because it's still telling me that I should be looking for buying sentiment. But what we need to see is price getting above this area here at 1500. Don't get above it, then I should be looking downside, break of 1305, target 1300, which will be back towards our institution moving average near term. On to sterling, let's have a look and see what's been happening on the weekly for this particular pair. A lot of upside movements since price actually, when we broke through 15,300 recently, price fell towards a price support and resistance level target in the shape of the 1485, which happened to be our 2010 consolidation when we broke that back in 2010. Apologies. So a bounce and a bullish engulfing candle the following week, which meant that we should have seen price moving back up towards 15,300, which it did over a couple of weeks. And subsequently last week we saw price punching higher, and this week we saw price pulling slightly back. However, there's been more buying sentiment towards the end of this week. So on our daily, we want to see that. There we go. So that's Thursday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Monday. So Monday was back below the 15,300, and then Tuesday back above the 15,300, and then Wednesday and Thursday we've seen buying sentiment breaking these highs here. So everything looking good, fantastic. So what we're seeing now is price moving higher, and you can see the highs here in place. So what we should see, consolidation, but as long as price maintains above the 15,300, then we should be looking for price to continue her move to the upside. So intraday we should be looking for consolidation, but look for those opportunities to break higher. You can see over the part on my 4 hour chart, you can see price not really moving higher than the current highs that we saw here at 1541. This candle over here, the 4 hour at 5 o'clock GMT yesterday, not getting above it. So for the past couple hours, price has failed to actually move higher even after the Asian session open. So want to see a close higher than that. If we don't see a close higher than that, then there's more likelihood for price to pull back. If it does pull back, she's going to pull back to price support and resistance level intraday. Once here at 1535, which is a nice little target, and then break below that back towards the 15300. This being our major support and resistance level. So see here, consolidation, breakout rally. Now it's pulled back, reattempt failure, and you can see an indecision candle on the last 4 hours. Very indecisive, spinning top. More happening, or shooting star, more happening at the bottom of the candle, which is not good, but we need a bearish engulfing candle to confirm this is a now shooting star at resistance. If that's the case, near term target 1535, second target down towards a 15300, and a break of 15300. Then we should be looking for next week in particular trades to the downside towards the institution moving average here, 1 at 1525, 15200, and ultimately back down towards these 1505 lows that we saw at the start of this month. US dollar Swiss franc, bearish engulfing week last week, saw resistance near term at 955, which wasn't great because we saw a breakout of this major support and resistance level here in the shape of the 940. Price broke out, pulled back, and the continuation candle failed to present itself, and we saw negativity. Here we saw breakout, pullback, continuation into resistance, and then failure completely. And what's done, it's pushed price to the downside. In doing so, testing price support and resistance levels here at 930, which is a consolidation long term, and now finding support above it. So negativity on the daily and intraday. You can quite clearly see that 940, which is happened to be the institution moving average as well. You can see quite clearly price breaking that, pulling back, and then the continuation candle here in the shape of the hammer moving higher, but failing to really move with any sentiment because the RSI just wasn't plotting with it, and subsequently we saw price reverting to the downside. Near term, when we broke 940, she's headed towards that 930 mark. However, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, going into our 6th day now, where price is moving lower very tentatively. There seems to be still a lot more negativity. However, that 930 is an area she doesn't want to really get or to give away easily. We would need to see a break of 930. The more she finds support here, even though she's still negative, the more she finds support here at 930, there's more likely for a near-term pullback, and that could take us back towards a 50-period moving average at 935, ultimately back up towards that 940, which is our major support and resistance level target. RSI is below 50. My daily time frame is telling me I should be looking for shorts. The only issue I have is that we don't have a physical close below that 930. I want to see a daily close below there, so it tells me that the sentiment is looking negative long term, and then I'll be targeting these lows here at 910 for the foreseeable future. So on my 4-hour chart and my hourly, I want to see that consolidation, a lot of wicks, a lot of indecisiveness, a lot of small candles telling me that there's indecisiveness. You can see price is testing this 930 marker over a long period of time, and doing so, this is not good, but she's still forming lower swings. Swing low, swing low, swing low, swing low, which is still telling us that sentiment is still looking negative to the downside. But we want to see a bearish engulfing candle close, and the further away from 930, the more sentiment is still favoring to the downside. So as it stands at the moment now, there's more negativity, so I should still be looking for negative sentiment. I want to see a nice bearish engulfing candle close. I'd love to see a daily close lower. At the moment now, you can see a lot of 4-hour candles, very speculative, a lot of wicks to the downside, so faking a lot of people into the downside and moving higher and closing their positions out. I don't want to be part of that group. I'd rather give away a full day to the market to give my bearish engulfing candle. If that happens, then I could start to look enter, stop, and target that 910 overall for the foreseeable future. On to the last pair of the day, the US dollar, Japanese yen. A lot of positiveness. Looking at a monthly chart here, you can see quite clearly how much momentum the US dollar has gained against the yen recently. Price moving higher, 2007 highs. I've taken a fib retracement from the 2007 highs and my 2011-12 lows, and you can see the 23.6, the 38.2, the 50, the 61, and you could also plot in the 78.6. But you can quite clearly see that price has met these criteria every single time on the pullback. Pullback, 23.6, breakout, continuation to 38.2, breakout, now heading into 50. So now we're trading at the 50, at the 100. We should see consolidation, and surely on our daily, after the break of 94, which is our 38.2, we've seen price consolidating now. So major target being reached, profit taking, and sure enough, we can see on our 4-hour and hourly price actually consolidating now. Okay, so the high's not getting as bullish as previously, and because of that, you can see prices now fallen over. So as it stands at the moment now, our next target, likely targets to be back towards the 99 with consolidation, which is the 23.6 February tracement from the start of this upside trend. Back to 23.6, then 38.2, the 50, the 61, which will bring us back towards these price support and resistance levels high. We're not going to see any further buying sentiment until such time as we're breaking and trading higher than the 100, because if we're not, then we're trading risk. Okay, so because there's a lot of consolidation happening now as we head into this major support and resistance level high, we've got to be above that in order to see further buying sentiment for the US dollar against the yen. If you're buying now, if you're seeing any positiveness intraday, be very aggressive in your money management, because you can quite clearly see each time she's attempted the 100, she's always failed to get thereabouts. We had one particular 4-hour candle which got there, but the rest of them failed at 99.50, which is not really good. So rather wait for a nice close above the 100 and then look to the upside. Hourly chart, you can quite clearly see the consolidation. Excuse all my lines I've drawn here, but very important just to plot all these major support and resistance levels. There we go, 100. So as it stands at the moment now, 23.6 would be my ultimate target to the downside here. Consolidation, so roughly around the 98.50 mark would be a nice start. 38.2 would be here for roughly around the 9700 mark, which happens to be my institution on my hourly. 50% back towards this consolidation here, and then back towards the 95.50, which is a major support and resistance level. So at the moment now, you can see a lot of buying sentiment after we broke that 94. See that 94 down in the bottom here. Let me get rid of that this red line, the black line over here. So that 94 here constitutes to the 38.2 February tracement, broke above it, and we saw this massive rally to the upside, and our histogram was telling us we should be looking for buying sentiment, which indeed it was. We're looking very positive. However, as we headed into the 100, which happens to be our 50% February tracement target from our weekly and monthly highs, or yearly highs, you can see that price has started to yearn now. The highs, there we go. You can see higher as we head into this area here. And if you had to plot an RSI, excuse me, my voice. Let's just plot an RSI quickly on here so you can see. There we go. I'll just put it below the histogram. You can see we made higher highs, but the RSI has started to noticeably drop. It's still above the 50% line, which is telling us we should be looking for positive sentiment. However, we don't see a break above 100 soon, then we'll likely see the RSI drop below 50, which is telling us we should be looking for selling opportunities intraday, and then we should be targeting the downside. Break of this area here at 99, target the institution back towards 97, and etc. to the downside towards that 9400, which happens to be our prior February tracement support and resistance level in the shape of the 38.2. So guys, that's it for today. That's it for this week. I hope you have a fantastic weekend with family and friends. Please look to see if there's any news announcement today. We have a lot of US news, a lot of US data out today. Core retail sale month-to-month figures, PPI, month-on-month retail sales, core PPI. We've also got a lot of, we have 1 or 2 FOMC speakers. Then we have Mr. Bernanke talking at 5:30 p.m. GMT this evening. Business inventories month-on-month figures as well. So there's a lot of news for the US market. However, there are 1 or 2 news announcements for the Euro. We have Eurogroup meetings again, end of week. So a long weekend of Eurogroup meetings. It'll be interesting, probably taking Cyprus into consideration and a number of other issues that they're having. That's going to be quite interesting. Industrial production month-to-month figures out for the Euro later this morning at 10 a.m. GMT. So there is news out there. Please see where price is trading and what we need to see from them in order to see any further upside or downside, depending on which pairs you're trading. Very important. Don't become one of the speculators. Rather let the market do its thing and then you trade accordingly. Any yen crosses, we've seen a lot of movement against a very weak yen, but we're seeing a lot of consolidation now, trading at all-time highs. So they're taking a lot of profit at the moment now. Be aware, we're looking for breakouts before we even think about contemplating further longs on those opportunities. So be aware of all that stuff. Otherwise, if you are using the strategy or any of the Serene Education strategies, please back it up with sound money management and keep it simple, guys. Major support and resistance levels, targets 1, 2, 3, and 4. Can't explain it. Look at your money management and just pull the trigger. You've got to keep your trading very mechanical, and you shall become a lot more successful. I know it's very hard psychologically to try and stay, but it's something you need to work on, because if you can trade very mechanically, you will be a lot more profitable going forward. Other than that, I'm going to keep it simple, keep my mouth quiet now. Enjoy your weekend, and I'll see you first thing on Monday morning. Until then, You guys trade serenely.